Cup version.
So guys, that was all about the result today, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, pretty much. We've not had a good 7 days. Last 2 games haven't been acceptable. Tuesday, I can't even bring myself to go back to that thought. So it was about the result, and that's what we said to the boys before the game. It's 3 points owed to, for once, us, for the fans, but they owed it to themselves as well.
Yeah, because what did you say after that game that changed it today going into this one?
Tuesday?
Yeah,
I can't repeat what I said on Tuesday.
Well, maybe it's Thursday then, because you did something. Because yes, it wasn't our best performance, and we don't look at confidence, but there was a change from whatever. You must have done something.
So to be honest, for Tuesday, you might have lost our heads a little bit. So Wednesday was kind of more of a case of we've got to clear an elephant in the room, otherwise it just damages confidence coming into this weekend and Thursday's training session. So we had a few conversations, kind of spent all of 30 seconds discussing it at training Thursday, and it was a case of this is our problem at the moment. It's not a skill, it's an attitude. So we correct it as of now, lines drawn, and we just went about it that way. There's no point dwelling on it too much.
Yeah, and then again today it's been like a game of 2 hours. First half we didn't look that confident, shall we say. In the second half, the longer it went on, we just took more control.
Yeah, to be able to give you an explanation for the slightly sloppy start, I can't, if I'm honest, because it certainly wasn't obviously the game plan. Maybe it is a little bit of pressure. What we do know is the last 2 games we've come up against teams who, unfortunately, have probably wanted it more than us, and that was kind of the gauntlet that we laid down. You know, we're all aware that, you know, we're playing under this badge, and it means a lot to a lot of people, fans, committee members. A lot of people put a hell of a lot of graft in for us to be able to go out on that pitch, and the very least anyone can expect is that we put an absolute shift in. We can't be outworked, can't be outfought, and you know, and I will say the fact that we've kept a clean sheet, kept on persevering and got the win, I believe that demonstrates that. Now, this doesn't make us Champions League winners, but it's something, isn't it?
To be honest, I think half the issue over the course of the last week has just been complacency, and we said it after Saturday, we said it Tuesday, we got ourselves a couple of good results, we were defending very well as a team, and we got complacent and it capitulated, and we went the complete opposite. It was real Jekyll and Hyde. So we've kind of corrected that a little bit more today. We look solid again defensively, and the pitch is tough to try and play and attack on. It's very heavy on the legs, so we've had to manage that as well, which I think we've done quite well today.
Not only is it heavy on the legs, but you know, most people, I mean, we were talking to the Holmesdale manager before the game, and he said you guys obviously play a very specific brand of football. We remembered how we played when we were over their place. To be fair, it's not an excuse, because again, we're really grateful that everyone's doing their best, but it is just a pitch that gets very heavy when it gets wet, and it's hard. You know, someone like Festos, he just wants to know that first touch I can go. As it is, it's a bit like one of them crazy golf balls that you got to just keep your eyes on where it's going to go.
You could see that, because there was quite a few instances where the players got done by the pitch, not their opposition.
But again, that's going to happen at this time of year, so maybe that explains some inconsistency, although I'm not going to make that as an excuse, because to be honest, we've been talking about inconsistent form from day one. So I won't allow that to be an excuse, but we're changing our playing style, we're having to adapt because of time of year, pitches and whatnot. So maybe that's some of the changes here, and football is a confidence game, so the boys have got to be confident, and they were confident, complacent, so it's led to 2 poor games. That affects their confidence, and now we've got to build it back up and kind of get it going and make sure it stays this time.
Because I think
the thing that we seem to be able to do, if and when we have a bad spell, whether that's the first half against Glebe or whether that's the first 70 minutes against Canterbury, we do seem to be able to put in a positive reaction, i.e. the second half against Glebe, i.e. the last 20 against Canterbury when we're down to 9, and then today. So it's a really difficult one to put your finger on, because the boys do have a, you know, they don't want to look silly, they don't want to get mugged off, they do have pride, but it's a learning curve for us, just trying to work out how we consistently do that. It's a little bit of a elusive one for us at the minute, and for the group, because it's not for want of trying. I
think that's what we were saying when we're watching. It's like, we know that you play great football. You don't suddenly not be able to play great football. It's got to be in their heads.
The crux of the squad is exactly the same. They've had some very, very good performances, which is almost more frustrating. If you're with a group who you know punching above their weight, at least you accept that. But when you know this is a side that's capable of beating on their day most teams in the league, it's very hard to explain why you've had some of the results that we've had recently, and even some of the halves, or even some of the periods within the game. Consistency is something we've got to strive for.
Yeah, because it is there. It's like today, I mean, we never looked like we were going to lose, but for a lot of it, we didn't look like we were going to win either.
You're thinking about that Kennington 0-0, I
Yeah.
guess, and things like that. You think, here
To
we
be
go.
fair, a lot of it I will. Some of it I'll put down. That we had this discussion just a minute ago. The pitch doesn't help because it cuts up, it's slippery, there's divots, you don't know where the ball's going to go. It's hard to plant your foot to play a pass, it's going to break a line, it's hard to time your run and keep your balance, it's hard to get the ball and run at it. So it does make a difference in that situation. Again, we'll go back to this, probably been quite a few games where we've done the same when the pitch has been fine, so I don't want to allow it to be an excuse, but sometimes you have to go, okay, that was a bit harder today. I mean, you look out there and there's divots everywhere now. The groundsman, Nick's got his work cut out to come and get that ready for a few weeks' time. But we knew we didn't have a game at home for a few weeks, so we thought, right, we'd get today's game on and we'll
you could see the pitch though, where Festos, I mean, the number of times he just couldn't, like you said, that turn and go just couldn't happen. But there again though, you've got to be pleased with the way he finally took his goal.
Yeah.
Because he was saying he thought he nearly cocked it up, but he
you thought, he definitely. I was ready to go on and kick in.
He deserves it for sheer endeavour and perseverance, doesn't he? You know, and he has earned a bit of luck in the end, because I'm not sure his initial decision was necessarily a great one, but you know,
it is deserved because since he's come in, he's been unreal.
Well, yeah, the second half, he's had 2 or 3 chances where he's come in, and you just think, like there was one where he hit it off the side of his foot instead of putting his lasers straight in. You know, but he got there.
I do think also it becomes a bit of a mental pressure because we know, you know, the boys are desperate to respond after Tuesday. Then we go down to 10 men, and we all know we've got to win this now. But the more that sort of sits on your mind, unfortunately, the pressure does make people do silly things sometimes, doesn't it? And people are lashing at things, people are making bad decisions.
You see, Trevor was getting so wound up towards the end; it just would not fall for him, no matter what he did. You know, and it wasn't down to him; it was just one of those days where, you know.
And then it goes in, and suddenly you're all well beaters.
Yeah.
And we all go home happy. It's a funny old game, isn't it?
It's funny after we scored. We were saying as soon as we scored against this lot, you know they would stop, and it was. We scored, and okay, there was only 2 minutes left, but in those 2 minutes they were terrible. You know, we could have.
It's hard, you know. They carried it, but I don't want to be disrespectful because actually I like the manager, and they weren't a bad side. They carried their threat, so I don't want to be disrespectful. Like their number 11 was a good. He was a threat. He got our left back Brooks.
And the 10 done a solid job,
10 very good players. So they had their threats. I wouldn't say they were horrendous or they fell apart or anything like that. They kind of had some decisions maybe forced upon them in terms of having to move their squad around. We just took advantage enough. Maybe not as ruthless as we'd like to be, but we took advantage enough. They maybe sat off and tried to protect us, say, right, we'll see it out and get a 0-0. We've managed to do just enough with a stroke of luck that, you know, we probably owe, to be fair, in some of the games we've had recently.
Yeah, and I think
they've gone down to 10, and to be fair, I'm sure if their manager's going to reflect on it, he'll say that's the game-changing moment, and he's quite probably right. You know, speaking to the assessor very briefly, he believes it was deserved. I don't think anyone's from Holmesdale's claiming the guy was all done by, and that's what happens in football. Tuesday night, from having a similar scenario where we've got an advantage, we've somehow, you know, managed to have a little catastrophic 10 minutes and it's gone the other way. So, you know, maybe it evens itself up.
Well, let's be fair, if some of the tackles today, we'd have lost about 5 players on Tuesday night. Straight reds.
So it's erratic, isn't it? We're talking about our consistency, but then you're also talking about the consistency of knowing the rules and how people are interpreting them.
It's hard to talk about the referees because I do try to be respectful, and I do firmly believe, I've always said it, there's 90 minutes of the game, the referee can't impact enough to be honest, maybe we're owed a couple of poor performances from the referees because we've had good referees for a very, very long time. It just so happens the last 3 games they haven't been great. The difficult thing today is I'm trying to talk to him, and he said he'll talk to me, and he's not talking to me, and then all of a sudden he comes over and he wants to. I don't know. Look, it's irrelevant. Referees are irrelevant. We've got to
control the
work our way
controllables. That's what they say. You know, like we've unfortunately spent a significant part of this interview talking about officials or pitches and things that we can't control. What we've got to try and do is get the 11 people in red concerning themselves about the things we can control, and you know, clean sheet is always a blooming good start.
It doesn't help us. Like, we're going to have to, you know, we had 2 red cards there. They're going to have to miss games for that, and that does impact on us.
But
you brought it back.
But again,
we're trying to move on.
We've got to control what we can control, and do you know what? I'll wind it back. Actually, I think the pleasing thing today is that training. You've taken care of the defensive unit in terms of our shape and how we can try and put the goal and get a clean sheet. I've taken control of the attacking players and how we can create chances and get crosses in the box, feed our wide players do get crosses in the box and find the alternatives, and today we've managed to execute that. So I think, like you say, let's concentrate on the positives and the controllables, and that is it. We've kept a clean sheet, the shape was pretty good, they caused, their issues were through 1v1 probably magic moments, nothing coming over the top, nothing playing through us caused the problem, so our shape was good defensively, and whilst it wasn't amazing or pretty going forward, we knew the state of the pitch. We know what it's going to be like, so we've tried to find an alternative way of trying to find our way to create opportunities, and we've covered both on Thursday, we've come away with a 1-0 win. So
well, it's like I said to you, today was all about the result. After what's happened, it was the result that mattered.
The statement had to be 3 points, don't really care how it happens, and we've got 3 points.
And it was.
So there you
I think the 3 things we rounded off with before we came out for today is defend our box, find our threats, in a nicer way, refuse to lose, don't lose today.
Yeah, and with the chances, we did create chances in the second half. Like I say, another day, Trev's had 4 or 5 goals, and so can't complain. It just makes Eric a bit of a challenge next week, but at least we're going with a bit more confidence.
Yeah, Trev's going to score if you supply him. Festus is starting to look like a dangerous supply line. Reece has upped his game. Unfortunately, he misses a game, but Reece has upped his game. We can see now the defensive unit. Even, our defensive record is not bad across the whole season. Granted, even when we lose, we don't get battered.
Well, it was, up until the last few games, we've had probably, I think there's only one team conceded fewer than us.
We were on a good run through February.
Yeah.
And again, I'll point out tonight, we've rotated our midfield again. Yeah. And we've looked at it in a certain way, a specific way, in terms of we've got to dominate the midfield, and we've done that with our captain, still not fully fit on the bench, and Jack Parby's been brilliant all year on the bench as well. So, we've got versatility in the squad, as we said all year, but we're starting to really hone in on qualities that we need to see. Because let's be honest, this league is renowned for being quite a physical league. It's not a pretty league. It's our non-league. To get out of this league, you've got to be fit. Well, do you know what? We've done it today.
Well, you're talking about positives. The other one was Connor came on. Because after Tuesday night, you thought he was out for a month the way his knee was. Yeah. And he's back straight away, so that's another good positive.
He likes to be a hero, that one.
Yeah.
He's not actually injured. He's in the plaudits for actually managing 45. But no, it's good.
Positive impacts, to be fair, when he's come on, positive impacts involved in a couple of good things. Ivesy, I think, again, had to do a little shape change, felt maybe, particularly with them down to 10, putting that second man up there, and I think he helped us out.
He does what he does well.
Game, innit? And the thing, like one of the messages we said to the boys, football is a game of massive opinions. You stood there with 280 odd people today, and I'm sure there's a lot of different opinions. There always is. In our changing room, that's the only opinion that matters. And that's what everyone needs to understand. We play this way, this is how the gaffer wants to play. This is how we're going to select the team. Everyone has to respect it. They might go home behind closed doors and not agree, but ultimately, if we're going to get anywhere, it's because we all unite.